Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeon Scrawlers, Heroes of Under Mountain. In a world flooded with roll and draw games, with draw and draw games, now we have a game that just draw. It's a game about drawing or scrawling, and as you're scrawling on a map of a dungeon using a dry erase marker on a dry erase board, you will do different things that have to do with the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and rendered with this particularly kids-friendly and very cute, very nice art. So it is a game set in the world of Dungeons & Dragons, definitely a family game, a game that will resonate with modern gaming sensibilities because there are many paths to victory, many ways to score points, many ways of devising strategies, variable characters with variable powers, and all packaged in a very simple, very digestible system in which you just draw. Now, you have 10 dungeons printed on these double-sided erasable boards. As you can see, just giving you a sense, there's a lot of variety. These dungeons look differently, play differently. In a standard game, you will play 3 different dungeons, so 3 rounds, a different dungeon in each. And as you can imagine, you have 10 to choose from, mix and match. You're going to have a lot of variety, a lot of replay value there. Very, very happy with the general idea. And these dungeons do play differently, do give you different incentives and things to avoid and look for. But we start from Dungeon 1, which is a good starting point to give you a sense of how it works. It's pretty simple. Players agree on the dungeons that they want to play in any specific game, and then they decide the order. Okay, we're going to do 1, 4, and 6, for example. Each player receives a card if you can't agree, and I played this game with my daughters, and sometimes we can't agree, and so we assign the characters randomly. Each will have a different benefit that will make more sense after you know about the game. Actually, I just want to give you a close-up of some of these things, just to look at the art, just how adorable the art is. There's like big-headed goblins. And of course, the first dungeon has a lot of goblins. That seems to be just the way things work in fantasy, with the boss monster up there. But then we have different monsters later, different bosses. The red characters, those are bosses, prisoners, teleporting gates, a lot of different things. Other monsters, wolves. Where are the wolves? I know there are because I destroyed several of these. Those annoying. So they look like cats, but you look close enough. I think that's a wolf. So lizard person. There you go. Once you agree on the dungeons you're gonna play, you get a dry erase marker. You place it by the start area. This dungeon only has one start area. Other dungeons have multiple ones. And then you go. You start scrolling. You draw a line, and you're not allowed to lift. Of course, it's okay, I guess, to lift, meaning to look around, but then you had to continue in a single line. When you enter a room that has features in it, if you ignore them, so if you just go through the room without interacting with them, you'll get negative points. So whatever points you would have scored by interacting with them correctly, you lose that amount of points. If you touch the feature without completing what you're supposed to be doing, like so, then you don't score points, but you also don't lose points. And so different features will have different ways that you're supposed to interact with monsters, which are the little green guys. You defeat them by covering them. So right there, I just defeated 2 goblins, and each goblin gives me, each monster that I cover gives me a victory point. If I'm collecting exotic plants, I just need to touch them like so, and that will score a victory point for each. Treasure, you need to cover the treasure to collect it. There you go. Artifacts, like that. Artifacts, they are broken into pieces. You gotta rebuild them, and so you gotta 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gotta go in order. And these sort of like weird ribbons, those are spells. Again, it represents the movement you're making with your wand or your hands, and you gotta trace them. And again, I can decide I don't want to collect the treasure, so I'll just touch it so I don't lose those points, and I continue with my with my scroll. So this is the general idea. These are some of the most common features. Kill the monster, blah, blah, blah. And just once you know that, then you already see why. Then already some of the characters here, their powers will make more sense. For example, as a wizard, you can cast a spell by drawing a circle. Basically, no one who is not a wizard, we find out, will ever want to cast that spell. Exotic plants will score you more points. You don't need to touch a treasure to collect it instead of coloring it. As the barbarian, you just need to behead the monsters. And the cleric, you can just connect the artifacts, rebuild the artifacts, connect them in any order they want. Each dungeon will have slightly unique rules and different conditions to complete the dungeon. For example, here, dungeon number 1, it's over when somebody will kill the big monster. Here I'm skipping a lot, but I want to get to the big boss there without cheating too much. And when somebody defeats the big boss, they say so. They say that they did that, and that ends the scroll for everybody. Also, whoever defeated the big boss scores for victory points. And so for now, that's it. And then you repeat this with 2 more dungeons, and then the dungeons will be scored. And it's actually, again, initially each player in my family was me and my kids. We were scoring our own, relying on trusting each other, and then that didn't work so well. Innocent mistakes were made, and then we discovered it's okay if you do it as the book suggests, which is you give the dungeon to the next player and the next player scores it. So, other dungeons will also use some tokens. For example, some dungeons use the orbs. Oh, we love the orbs. The orbs, you will, and that's indicated there. The orbs will be, there is the blue orb and the pink orb. As you can see, you stack them in order. They have different values. So the one that goes on top is worth more points, second, third, and fourth. And so when somebody scrolls, somebody fills in an orb, they say, okay, pink orb, and you immediately, where the heck are those? Where the heck are the orbs here? I can't find them. There's somewhere. There you go. Whenever you fill in an orb like that, you say, okay, blue orb, and you collect the token on top. Another thing, teleportals, so teleporting portals. When you just see a ladder like that, like that one, that's the entrance of the portal. And so that's where you enter the portal. And you come out of a matching ladder, but where the symbol has the arrows coming out, like so. Some dungeons will have prisoners, and some dungeons also have keys. When you are able to find the key by touching the corresponding symbol on the map, you will collect a key token. Key tokens are limited supply, so there may not be enough for everybody, which is kind of by design. And also other things, some dungeons may have time limits, and so simply you'll be told how long do you have to complete the scroll. In this case, for example, the scroll ends when 2 minutes of real time have passed, or when somebody is able to find that space, in which case they also score 5 victory points. And these dungeons are pretty elaborate. I mean, I have not studied it and studied this dungeon, for example, and I don't really know how to get there. And nor do I want to study. Kind of the point that we don't allow ourselves to study the dungeons. Just after playing a couple of times, you get a sense of where some things might be. But definitely you're going to have a lot of variety there because, again, because of different rules. Say this one, the prisoner set you free, but you need some keys to do so, or with victory points, which is good. This one is the same thing, but also you're going to have 3 victory points for the player who has freed the most prisoners. This time the scroll is only 90 points. So there's another one where you need to defeat 2 bosses to end the scroll. And so on and so forth. Huge variety. Really great replay value. And then you have a gameplay that really is just so visceral, so intuitive. You are scrolling, you're drawing and collecting stuff and killing monsters, obliterating them from the face of the planet, of the under mountain at least. It is a game that my kids and I simply love. We have been playing the heck out of this game. Different combinations of dungeons bring you such different experiences. The art is absolutely adorable. There's whimsical element. I was thinking, I love Dungeons and Dragons and the mature art, but everybody looking cute, even the monsters that you slay. I don't know. I got nothing against that. I think it really makes the game nice and cute. So the production is absolutely excellent with these double-sided dungeons that look great, and they are so playable, and they give you so many different options. As for gameplay, again, very intuitive, very simple, but with so much to it, so many different layers. The timing, I think my daughter Amelia will go for that key or for that orb, and so maybe I'll go and do something different. Different characters will give you completely different priorities. Oh, corner of my eye, I see a lot of exotic plants there, so I'm gonna rush to some rooms to get to the thing that I want the most. Oh, I see the treasures there. I'm making my priority. But at the same time, darn it, I see one of my daughters getting really close to the final boss monster, so maybe it's not the right time to start connecting the artifacts. The artifact will score you 1 victory point for each 3 stones that you connected correctly. So for a game which is just about scrolling as fast as you can, but finding that balance between fast and accurate, this game has a lot to it. It was surprisingly nuanced, surprisingly multi-layered. Again, especially and thanks to the variety of the dungeons and the different things that may happen, and how each dungeon and the interaction with your character and getting a sense of what other players are doing, all those things really change your strategy and change your priorities, making gameplay different from time to time. One more thing about scoring, of course, the first time that you play, if you play with young players like I did, the players may be a little bit mean because you're scoring super harsh. They're scoring someone else's dungeon super harshly until someone scores theirs. And all of a sudden, people become a lot kinder and nicer and fairer. It should go without saying that this is a game best played among players that are not super extra mega competitive, that are not going to like a tournament where there's a big prize for money. Then I think that totally sucks out the joy out of it, which probably going to the tournament sucks out the joy of playing most games, in my humble opinion. But the point remains, people that want to win, of course, but also want to be fair and they care about everybody having a good time more than other things. Because ultimately you can be really annoying, but that technically touches, but that kind of touches, that does not touch. If the game gets bogged down into that kind of discussion during scoring, that just play something else. This is not the right game. But for players that want to have a good time, have a fun, have a really simple, intuitive, visceral fun, with still some really interesting decisions and some really exciting moments, then I would heartily recommend Dungeon Scrawlers because I've had such a great time playing it, and I know this game will get played a lot by my daughters and I.